Today we have select metal 1 3/16 inch brass pole uh, and a standard wall mount bracket with the circular mount plate on the back and a flat ring. The flat is referred to this section of the ring, not this part of the ring. And I'm going to show you how I figure out where that mount plate goes at on the wall relative to the top of the panel. I normally put the panel where it's just a little bit lower than the large loop hiding the eyelet, because I put my pins at about 1/4 of an inch down, and that's going to hide most of that loop, little eyelet right there. I use a combination square that or anything that extends over to where the top of the panel is going to be at on the ring, and get you back to the wall side of the mount plate, or the bracket, excuse me. And so I'm lining up right here where the top of the panel's at, making sure you hold the ring down flat, the way it's going to be with gravity involved. And so it looks like about right there, and it looks like, if you can see right here at the top of my gauge, almost the top of that gauge is equal to the top of the mount plate. And that gets me over here to where the top of the panel is going to be at. So let's figure out what these measurements are so we can kind of figure out what's going on over here. So let's back this out a little bit so we can see it. So this mount plate, from the top of that to the bottom of it, looks like 1 7/8 of an inch right there. And then our gauge part here looks like it's awfully close to 2 3/8 of an inch. It's kind of in the middle, maybe just a little bit shy of the 5/16, maybe a little bit more than the 5/16, excuse me. So we got 2 3/8 inch on the combination square measurement here, and then the mount plate is 1 7/8. So if we do our quick math, that equals 3/8 plus 1/8 equals 1/2 inch. Now that 1/2 would be added to the finished length number. Let's say we have 100, so we add that 1/2 inch for the rod, ring, and bracket, and then we have to plus or minus what we're going to do on or off the floor. And normally I would, on a hard floor, put 1/4 of an inch. If it's a carpet, probably 1/2 inch. But some people like them to break on the floor. Some people want them higher off the floor than that. So we'll say that we're going on a hard floor, we're going to do 1/4 inch. So that would equal 100 3/4, and that would be the bottom of the mount plate. MP is abbreviated for mount plate in my world. So if you put right here that 100 3/4 to the bottom of this part here, and the panels are 100, and you want them 1/4 inch off the floor, then that right there should be 100 3/4 of an inch from the floor. Okay, so to recap on the calculations I have here, the 2 3/8, that was the amount of the combination square to the top, to right here to the gauge, the ruler, if you will. The 1 7/8 is from the top of the mount plate to the bottom of the mount plate. So we would minus that 1 7/8 from the combination square measurement, which gives us the 1/2 inch. The panels were made at a 100 inch even, so we want to add our 1/2 inch from up here. We move it down here into the equation. We plus that, and then we determined that we were going on a hard floor, and we wanted them 1/4 inch off the floor. So our total was 100 3/4 of an inch from the floor to the bottom of the mount plate, and that would give those panels a nice 1/4 of an inch clearance. And the panel would be right up here near the larger loop, but covering the eyelet.